Thank you for tuning in and welcome back to the channel. Here we are again, another set of random enchants I have theory crafted for your consideration. This video will be broken down into smaller sections, one for each random enchant, just like the last video. If you haven't seen that one, I will leave a link in the description of the video below. Go ahead and go check that one out as well. I will also leave links down in the description to my Twitch page and Discord if you have any questions about this video or any others as well. Let's go ahead and head in game. I will see you there and in the next video. Thank you again for watching. Let's go. These random enchants were theory crafted to be used in conjunction with each other ultimately, more along the lines of building a full concept from the ground up instead of just generic random enchants for anyone to use. There is one generic RE that I threw in at the end, and in future videos I hope to expand on that concept of that particular RE. The first enchant will be the legendary Plagued Pyromancer. Your fire spells now deal nature damage instead. Your ignites now apply a stack of plague poison to the target, stacking up to 5 times instead of its normal effect. Spell damage increases the damage of the plague poison caused by this effect. The idea of this random enchant was to introduce a new damage over time caster for people to play with. This could serve as a new way for nature-based casters to play something other than Lightning Bolt, and I think with the popularity of the Fire Hybrid melee build, it would also introduce a completely different way of scaling that build as well. It would be interesting to see what kind of builds could take advantage of this in both PvP and PvE. I would imagine given proper scaling, the Plague Poison might be a brutal damage over time that could lead to some clever uses of snapshotting and resistance debuffs and lead to a fun and new way to look at fire spells altogether. A Plague Mancer type build I think would add a lot of flavor to the game, and I've seen other RPGs implement a similar idea as well. The second chant is the first epic Contagious Outbreak. Your nature spells spread any damage over time effects on up to 5 targets within 30 yards of your target. Your main hand poisons are applied to your nature spells, and spell damage increases the damage of poisons caused by this effect. This RE I think would open up a lot of new possibilities as far as who would want to take advantage of the damage over time spreading mechanic. Take for example a Rain of Fire proccing Plague Poison on a whole group of monsters, but also a Hurricane Druid hammering large groups of monsters with massive procs of Instant Poison. Melee hybrid builds could incorporate skills like Insect Swarm into the rotation, and Maelstrom weapon users now have a chance to spread any dot effects to multiple targets. Overall, I think this could really allow for some awesome new hybrid builds and add a new dimension of gameplay to existing nature casters. The third enchant is another epic, Hepatotoxicity. Every 45 seconds, you gain a buff that increases your nature damage by 25% for 10 seconds. Spell criticals extend this effect by 1 second, up to a maximum of 10 seconds. Although this is a fairly simple RE, this would introduce a new gameplay element to nature casters by giving them a window of opportunity to maximize their damage output. If you've ever played or seen video of an arms warrior during Cataclysm, that spec was all about dumping huge numbers during those windows of opportunity. You could easily line this effect up with like a Bloodlust if you keep track of the timing, and the possibility for massive Earthshock nukes using the Booming Thunder legendary RE would be a fun and engaging mechanic just as an example. If you don't use nature spells as your primary damage source, having a new toy for melee hybrids to play around with, I think could lead to some really interesting build ideas. I could see this effect being used to snapshot a beefy nature dot, followed up by some pretty powerful poison procs from weapons. The fourth enchant is a rare, Extensive Injections. You can apply 5 more deadly poisons, and your deadly poisons deal their damage 15% faster. You can only apply deadly poisons to your weapons and ranged weapons. This enchant does not stack. Coming from someone who has tested many different dual wield melee builds before, instant poisons can do anywhere from 10 to 20% of my overall damage, depending on how heavily I want to invest into them. The goal of this RE is to change up how poison users deal their damage. Not only would it make deadly poisons actually feel more deadly, it would also open up new options for temporary weapons enchants to mix into your repertoire. You could easily get away with using the one deadly poison and use it in conjunction with, say, Flame Tongue weapon to really play into a fire/nature hybrid melee build. You could play a Titan's Grip with Windfear on the main hand to get the benefit of the 2-hand damage, but still benefit from an additional dot in your build as well. This could open up new ideas for range builds, highly investing into nature dots, or new hybrid / nature casters trying to combine some of the other REs listed earlier in this video. The 5th enchant is another rare, War and Attrition. Your battle and guardian elixirs have 50% increased effect, but have 75% reduced duration. Now this RE is not for the faint of heart. This is for people who really want to flex on those plebeians with their massive coin purses. Essentially, this turns your non-flask potions into a potent short-term buff that if you have the funds to supply it, you can really take advantage of it. The reduced duration is a multiplicative calculation, not additive. I'll put on the screen the math I used to come up with the final duration values of the elixirs with the RE if anyone is confused. This RE would introduce an incentive for players to engage more with the game and farm up that gold so they can be like Professor Putricide and down those elixirs like a madman. But it would also preserve the use of flasks for those who want to take the safe option and not be bothered to incorporate yet another button to press during the rotation. I'd like to see more REs in the game that buff profession effectiveness rather than just focusing on skills and talent trees. I think it would be a good way for people to really play the ultimate fantasy of those professions while feeling like they're being rewarded for it. As with all of these videos, these are merely suggestions on gameplay elements I would like to see expanded upon. Balancing and gameplay implications would have to be done by the people who actually make them in-game. I just want to put them out there for consideration, and maybe in the future, some of these ideas from these videos could be seen in-game. If you've made it this far, I want to personally thank you. I really, truly appreciate anyone who watches my videos. Enjoy your night. Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye.